So here I am. This is a test. This is my Android Galaxy. Not a Galaxy. It's a Google Pixel 2 phone, and it's kind of like my homemade camera mount. And just checking it out, see how it works. Cause I think I'm gonna try to make some videos now. That's too close. Maybe I have to do some editing here and do a little documentary and maybe do a couple car reviews here. So I'm driving right now a Ford Fiesta 2011 manual transmission and 5-speed. And the reason why I bought it because it was cheap, had good mileage, had about 70,000 kilometers on it, and it was the same platform as the Mazda 2. Didn't have air conditioning. I didn't think I needed it, which I kind of regret, but for the price I paid for the car, I can't really complain. I'm looking for another car similar with air conditioning, but I want something fun to drive. And because this was a platform on the Mazda 2, which I'd driven before, and I knew that was a fun car to drive, I was hoping this car would be similar. And I've driven the hatchback Mazda 2 before, which is no longer made. They now only make a sedan, but it's branded as a Toyota Yaris IA, or just Yaris sedan now. So at first I wasn't that, it was a car I drove. It didn't do anything totally annoying or whatever. But it wasn't all that, exciting to drive when I first got it. Maybe because it was new. What I did was I changed the steering wheel. I went to the wrecker, and because mine is an S model, I got an SCS model steering wheel, leather up steering wheel, simple bolt on, very easy to do if anybody wants to change their steering wheel. Really cheap at a wrecker. It was like $30 or something like that. It was dirty. I washed it all up nicely. It's leather and it's like new. That to me, I'm a pretty simple guy. It makes me pretty happy is touching a nice steering wheel while I drive. It's a bit thick, the steering wheel, but then the steering is not that light. So it's probably appropriate for the weighting of the steering, but I prefer a lighter steering and I prefer a thinner wheel. Maybe because I got small hands or small muscles or both. But I like light steering and I like the thinner steering wheel. So mine's a 5-speed. It's 1.6 liter, normally aspirated. The rear suspension on the car is a torsion beam, which you can feel it, pulling around on the bumps. When one side hits the bumps, it kind of pulls around a little bit, just enough to not be annoying. So guys, there is an aftermarket sway bar you can put in the car, and I find that their back end's pretty stiff. I don't find that I'm understeering a lot. I find that my line, I don't have to dial in more steering as I get it deeper into the corner or harder into the corner, or if the corner has bumps, it holds its line very well. The geometry of the rear suspension is done properly to keep it in line. When the suspension does compress, it doesn't change the steering angle in the wrong way. It'll actually tighten up, and that's how it should do. You'll tighten your line if you the harder you're cornering, the line will slightly tighten rather than I had a Corolla before. Toyotas are notorious for this. As you're leaning into the turn, because because everything's sort of flexing in the wrong way, you have to dial in more steering in your steering wheel to maintain that line. And it's an unpleasant feeling. You can't really drive very precisely, and it's not very rewarding because it doesn't matter what you do, you have to correct in your turn, and not for driver error, but because the chassis isn't doing its part correctly. It understeers when you go into a corner, but I don't like the understeering, and maybe for somebody who doesn't know, what the car is supposed to feel like, or not interested, maybe it's good for them. But for me, I don't like to have to turn the wheel more as I'm getting into the corner harder, or if I got to tighten my line, I want to be able to turn the wheel and adjust the pitch of the car to do that, so that whatever I do, that's what the car does, rather than I'm kind of playing catch up with the suspension. So this is my little test. This is my little blab. I'm talking now for 6 minutes here about nothing really. But it's a review of this little Ford Fiesta, and I must say that for a little car, for cheap, and if you get what this car is all about, it's quite impressive for what it was designed and what its purpose is. It's an economy car, but it's actually engaging and fun to drive. Way beyond its price point. If you like to drive, you can actually enjoy this car quite a bit. Not feel like you're driving a penalty box or not being in pain, other than no air conditioning. But the 5-speed transmission, yeah, it's a little bit. The engine kind of has that funny lag in it, whether that's a flywheel that's too big, or it over revs when you shift, when you let off the gas. It's I don't know whether it's emissions related to make it so that it's cleanly burning, or fuel related, but it's little annoyances here, but you can kind of drive around it. Transmission fluid, I changed it to Redline synthetic, makes it a lot better. The shift gates, second to third gate, kind of gets hooked up, so you got to let the transmission kind of go to neutral before you move it into third. You can't just go from second straight directly over to third. It kind of gets hung up there. I'm not sure if that was a previous owner had been thrashing the transmission, and maybe the transmission and the engine maybe moved in the mounts. I haven't tried to readjust it at all. If I put a different mount in, maybe I'll jiggle the engine a little bit. Maybe there's a little alignment issue there, but other than that, the cogs go in nicely. The transmission, it's a little bit long throw, but that's what you expect. But the shifts are quite solid, and the synchros are quite good. Reverse obviously has it's a 5-speed. Reverses to the right and back. There's a lot of mass in the in the transmission. So if you go into reverse, you gotta wait a few extra seconds for it to stop spinning internally before you put it in reverse, so it doesn't grind, which a lot of cars do, but this one is particularly sensitive to that, but not an issue if you know how to drive it and you're a little bit patient. So there's my review. Ford 2011 Ford Fiesta S. Thank you.